What is good, everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Paul and I make videos about Japanese society, life, and culture from the viewpoint of a long-term foreign resident. I've been in Japan going on 19 years now. And today I'm going to be talking about the rules, regulations, laws regarding filming in Japan, what I do all the time. And unfortunately, I am not doing my normal type of video, which is outside on the street, walking around. The whole idea or the kind of theme of the channel is to talk about some Japan culture, society topic while just Japan happens around me. And it's not, clip art or it's not stock footage or anything like that. It's just you see me walking down ordinary everyday streets. Unfortunately, this week, crazy wind all week long. I don't have the audio equipment to deal with that. And so I'm filming indoors today. I apologize for that, but this is a pretty important topic. What are the rules about filming in Japan? So let's get right into it with no more preamble. Okay, I'm first of all not a lawyer. I cannot give legal advice, but basically I've done a lot of reading and I've been filming in Japan for over 4 years now. I think it's probably about 5 years now. And so I've studied up on what I can expect to be okay and not okay. And the first thing is, if you are filming in a public place, what the law or the regulation kind of defines as a place where people should not have any reasonable expectation of privacy, like a public park, public street. If you're out in the public space, you don't have any reasonable expectation of privacy, and so filming there, taking photos there, streaming there, etc. is totally okay. Now, private businesses, you should ask first. The private business owners, shop people could ask you to leave or ask you not to film. Perfectly within their right. It's not a public space. And the truth is, in Japan, if you can ask in Japanese and make it clear what you're filming for, a lot of places will say, okay, no problem with that. But I get the impression, compared to like the States, for example, there are a lot more small business owners and such in Japan that don't want you to film in. And I think it's just not the same level of adaptation or adoption of social media culture, right? So in America, businesses are going to say, oh, this is potentially like free advertising and, getting our name out there to an audience, no matter how big or small that audience is a good thing. But in Japan, there's a little bit more tendency towards privacy, even for a business that might otherwise benefit from getting some exposure. That's why you should ask when you enter a business and find out if it's okay to film there or not. Now, there is a difference in Japan than if you're coming from the UK or the US, for example. I'm filming this in February of 2024, and there was just this incident in the UK, I know, where this piano player was live streaming and these Chinese citizens were saying, hey, please don't film us. We don't want our faces on your live stream, so please cut that or stop filming or something. Now in the UK, that doesn't fly because it's a public space and anyone can film what they want and they don't have to accommodate anyone else. In Japan, as you know, I just mentioned that you can film in a place where there's no expected level of privacy. Well, in Japan, if someone approaches you and says, I saw you filming, I don't want my face on your video stream, or I don't want my face in your photos and that sort of thing, you actually are by law required to delete that footage or delete those pictures. And I would recommend actually, showing the person, okay, this is where you're here, and let's delete it. And so it's taken care of, because you can actually be found legally liable for violating someone's privacy if they've specifically requested that you delete or remove evidence of them being there, I guess. So that is different than in the UK or in the US. So if the Chinese and the British piano streamer guy had been in Japan and the Chinese people said, please delete that footage, we don't want to be seen in your YouTube video, the British streamer would have had to delete it by Japanese law. Obviously in the UK it's different, but that's why I'm highlighting this. The fact that if someone actually asks you to delete something, you have to in Japan. Now, as I mentioned, I've been filming in Japan for 5 years. No one has ever approached me in that amount of time and asked me to delete anything. So even though that's the law or the regulation, it's never actually happened. There's one other small detail that I want to add. Again, if you're walking down a street and you see a really interesting gate or signpost or wall around a house or garden. Because it's on the street, technically, it's what's immediately adjacent to the public space, you are allowed to take photos or include in your video gates, walls, fences, and that sort of thing. The outside perimeter of a property. However, if you notice within that fence or gate that it's a really lovely garden, you are not allowed to go over and film the garden or take photos of the garden, because now you're in the private space of that home or other establishment, right? So the outer perimeter, like, oh, that's a really cool gate, this old Japanese style gate or something that you want to take a photo of, totally fine. But you cannot then go over and start taking photos or video of the garden within. That is also considered private property, privacy. You are not allowed to do it. Okay, if you have any questions about these particular things, please comment below and I will try to find out the answer, or if I know the answer, I'll just reply. Now, there's one other thing to cover, and that is drones. Drones are very highly regulated in Japan. The main rules that you need to know is that if you're going to try to film in any kind of space where there's people and buildings, you have to get a permit. The current law is if you are 30 meters from people or a private house or building or something, you're not allowed to fly a drone there. So if you're out in the forest or you're out in a field somewhere and there's not people around, then you can send your drone up and fly it. And in actuality, there is a regulation where if you have a drone that's over 100 grams, basically anything that's not a toy, which is any kind of drone that has a camera that you could film with, is going to be over 100 grams in weight. You're supposed to register it, and it should have like a, whatever that radio tag is on there, so it can be identified. Sorry, that's my cat. And there is a website that you can look up for that. And if you do want to film, if you want to use drone footage and you're in Tokyo or you're someplace that is actually populated, it is possible to get permits to do so. I haven't done the permit process. I don't actually own a drone myself. Honestly, it's probably easier just to find some beautiful places to fly your drone that aren't near people and buildings. Or if you want to try to go through the permit process, there might be other YouTube videos about that or information online, certainly, but I don't know how that works personally. I just know that you do need that permit. As for a few other points that might be of interest, for example, Kyoto in very crowded tourist areas has a lot of signs up that say no selfie sticks, and they don't want you to have these big long selfie sticks that are bumping into people when it's very busy. And there actually are kind of these volunteer guard people, I don't know what else to call them, gadoman they say in Japan, who will come over and scold you and chastise you if you're using a selfie stick where you're not supposed to and not following those signs. Now, technically, there is no law against it, so they can kind of harass you and, you know, guilt you into not using those things, but they can't actually prosecute you or, you know, take your selfie stick away or arrest you or anything like that. But in general, I mean, just be smart about the use of selfie sticks and other equipment that you use when filming. Personally, I have a gimbal that I just mount my camera on normally, and I walk around like this, and it's kind of self-contained. It's not really sticking way out like a selfie stick, and I've never been harassed using that anywhere that I've been, including in Kyoto. So bear that in mind. But if you're in Gion, for example, where there are a lot of signs that say no selfie sticks and you have that stick way out, you might get hassled by people who are saying you're not allowed to do that here. But other than that, that's pretty much what needed to be covered in this video. If I've forgotten anything and you know something else, add it in the comments below, and I'll try to edit it into the video at some point. If you have questions, also ask below. I will answer that, and I want to thank you very much for watching this particular video. Coming up will be my expose of beautiful Yokohama, another place that you can visit when you visit Japan that's not Tokyo and not Kyoto and not Osaka, but still worth your time. So look for my Yokohama video. That should come out probably at the end of March. Please look for my upcoming videos. I have a Patreon. Like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, all those wonderful things that I always forget to say because I'm really terrible at self-promotion. But at any rate, thanks for watching this particular video, and I will see you next week. Peace.